Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We're going to take a look at waves. So just make sure you sit back, relax, and ride the waves. I'm kidding, that's not what it is. I'm sure it means something greater, but my community had asked me to go ahead and cover this. So that is the reason for this. We're just going to look at the technical charts, no fundamentals here. If you have insight on the fundamentals, love for you to include that below so we can all learn and grow together. But I'm not a financial advisor. You just need to know that. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. Okay. I have years of trading experience, and my goal is to help you trade for a lifetime, not for just one day. Speaking of one day, however, I do have signal groups I'm going to release soon. I'm working on that diligently. So you, as a Patreon member, you can go ahead and reference that and hopefully benefit from that too. I just wanted to make sure to iron out the kinks so you have a good experience and it's very much worth your while. All right. I have $25 in Bitcoin available from Voyager if you'd like to download and install that and fund $100. Furthermore, a link to my Telegram community, my fantastic Telegram group. Thank you all so much for your support and recommending that I cover this too. Really appreciate that. So without further ado, I think that's all I have for you. Let's go ahead and check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at waves. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline of the market, so we know specifically what's going on and how that's influencing these altcoins that we like to look at and understand more about. So we'll take a look at that here. And first thing we do is peek at the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. Now this is a 4-hour chart, and by the way, I use TradingView rather, and it is available at tradingview.com. If you'd like to follow along, I do usually have some moving averages included. So I have the 200-day moving average, this is the purple line, and the 50-day moving average is the yellow line. Okay. I've got a couple of support and resistance lines drawn out. We have a resistance at 42,000, support at 30,000, and I have a kind of a declining resistance level that's coming down here. I just wanted to mark that because it has been pretty obvious, kind of honoring that trend. Again, the trend is your friend, right? So that's the whole concept, is to make sure that you follow along and understand the trend. But this is trending downwards, so we're either going to find a breakout or the 200-day moving average. Will be interesting to see how that reacts. We'll possibly push the price down even further. They refer to this as a death cross. When the price comes down, the 200 comes down to intersect with the 50. So we don't want that, but it's kind of inevitable at this point. So that could be why we're seeing a lot of selling off in the altcoins right now, because they're preparing for this terrible, tragic price dip, perhaps, that could happen. No guarantees, but that is essentially the state of the union here for Bitcoin. And the Ochimoku cloud does appear and kind of tell us that there's a slight buy signal because we're above the cloud. So that could be an indication of a long position. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum next. And it's a similar scenario for Ethereum in the sense that it's still going sideways, not much different here. What's odd is that Ethereum isn't increasing in price like it typically does when Bitcoin goes sideways. So that's concerning for me because I'm noticing most all the other reliable altcoins are going sideways and or declining in a lot of ways, which is odd because oftentimes they recover and they do quite well when Bitcoin is going sideways. So there's just a very strange feeling right now in the market. And I don't love it, but it is what it is. And we just kind of got to roll with it and do our best to understand and get ahead of it. That's the point of this here. Anyways, price action is below all three indicators here. All right, so we see the 50 and the 200-day moving average. It's below that. Furthermore, we also have the prices under the Ochimoku cloud, or Ichimoku cloud, rather, sorry, and that is essentially declining. So for lack of better terms, we're going to be in a bearish type of scenario. And the common rule of thumb with the cloud is that you're not supposed to invest in a long position when the price is under the cloud. Okay. So we want it to go above the cloud in order to make a confident investment. Again, moving along with the trend, which is your friend. You'll hear that a lot. The trend is your friend. All right, so looking at waves next. So we'll go ahead and take a look at one-day chart first. And I like to look at the one day, just kind of get a big picture overview. I don't put a ton of weight on the moving averages here, even though they are valid. If you see here, we have the 200-day moving average working as a pretty strong support level. The 50 is really kind of just negligible at this point. Nothing really to note there. RSI is low, so basically tells us we have a buy signal in a sense. But as you can tell with the cloud here, it hasn't been long enough. So this basically tells us that the price action is too low and that we need to wait for quite a few more days in order to have a comfortable buy signal according to the cloud. Again, that just kind of gives us that law of averages. The longer the time goes on, the lower this cloud will get, and then we'll eventually be able to break above and confidently invest. So according to this chart, we don't have a good buy signal here. But again, one-day chart is not the most optimal for that instance. The 4-hour chart, however, is a pretty good indication of where the moving averages are. The 200-day moving average, this purple line here, is essentially swinging downwards. That could be what's considered to be a death cross there, but it's, again, too early to tell. We'll see. It could just average out and level out, depending on the price action, or it just might break through. But at this point, honestly, really, it's hard to say specifically because the price action is hovering above and below the 50, so it hasn't really made up its mind yet. And if you kind of closer look, the price is underneath the cloud, so honestly not the best indication of a buy signal. RSI is right in the middle, so not much to really note there. Just kind of tells us that it's neither oversold or overbought. All right, let's look at the 1-hour chart. And I'd like to peek at the 1-hour chart because the cloud is the most impactful here. This is where you really want to use the cloud to essentially understand buy signals and sell signals. Now, there is more to the Ochimoku cloud. I'm not going to bore you with these details here. Those do also give you buy signals and sell signals. It's much like the MACD would and or just say a lagging average. But what we can see here is, though, that the price is trending below and continuing to trend below the cloud. So it's no longer a good indication of a buy signal. Okay. Again, the concept here is that when the price is above, it's a buy signal. You want to go long. And then when the price is below, you go short. So ideally, you get in as soon as it breaks above. So for example, when it broke above here, that would have been a consideration for an entry, and it kept going, right? That's essentially the trend that you're looking for. Okay, but again, the price action is kind of sporadic there. I can see like really high highs. I mean, in 1-hour period, we've seen a lot of growth and decline. So waves is very volatile right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 15. And let's pull up waves here. All right. So 15-day here, 15-minute chart. One thing I want to note is that I use 2 indicators primarily. So if you're new to the channel, I use the volume weighted average price. That's this blue line here, right there in the center. In fact, let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger, just so you can see it better. And then, of course, we have the standard deviation lines above and below. When the concept there is that when the price comes above these deviation lines, then it's a time to sell. As you can see here, broke above, retrace back down. Because in other words, it's getting overextended because the VWAP is the volume weighted average price. It tells us the volume of the last 24 hours expressed as a price. So right now, the volume weighted average price is telling us the price should be 14.39 and the price is 14.31. That's pretty close, no big deal. But it works as a support and resistance level. So when the price is above, it's an indication of a buy signal, below, sell signal, or just essentially it's working as a support and resistance line, so it will get tested. And you see here, price came up, came down, bounced off, up, down, bounced off. So it's kind of bouncing between these lines here. So this is both good and bad. Good in the sense that you can see that the price action is volatile, but bad because it's hard to get a read on what's going on and how often it responds and bounces, right? So those are things that you would just want to know and understand. But simply put, RSI is pretty low right now, so even though the RSI is low, doesn't necessarily mean you want to jump in and buy. That is something to note. Also, bear in mind the price is under VWAP and EMA lines, so not another good indication of not going long, right? So here, let me explain this to you here really quick. The EMA line, this red line here, is the exponential moving average. I use that in the shorter time frames because it's more responsive to the price action. But with this kind of price action, it can be difficult to get a read on what's actually going on. But for the most part, you can kind of see a common trend here. Let me zoom in for you. You can see the price jumping above, right? So when the price is over EMA, it's considered to be bullish. So we got a potential entry here, 2 solid green bars, right? So you take entry here, hypothetically, price comes up. As soon as it starts coming back down under VWAP, correction, under the VWAP lines here, and of course, comes down in the RSI, then this is basically a sell signal. So you'd probably want to exit your position here. So you'd make somewhere in the range of, I don't know, 6%. Not bad. That's essentially a good day in my books, right? Because you can grow your portfolio by 1% easily with a 6% trade. But that being said, that's essentially what I look for in a trade like this, right? But the bottom line here is that when you are trying to take entry, you want to look for 2 solid green bars above EMA and the VWAP lines, right? So another example of that here, because once it comes up, it comes down, retraces, you see how it bounces off VWAP. That's an indication number one. Okay, great. Bounce off VWAP. The price is right where it should be. Okay, so you don't take entry here, no, because there's no confirmation, right? You don't have two solid green bars. These are the two solid green bars I'm looking for. So I would have taken entry right here, wrote it up here. You see how the price comes over and test the EMA line here? That's confirmation that the trend is your friend, right? The trend is moving in the direction you want to head. It's moving up because the EMA line works as a support level, or more so a momentous indicator. So if you're familiar with the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, that's essentially a 12 and a 26 day moving average, exponential moving average. Well, this is the 15 and it works on the price action. So what's great about it is it kind of takes that average of the MACD, and instead of waiting for them to intersect, you can effectively be able to utilize this and wait for the price action to come up. So again, you see it bounce off this again. And then what big surprise, RSI hit 70 right here. Then that would be an indication of a sell signal somewhere in this range, right? So that wouldn't be a phenomenal gain, but that would be an extra 5%. Okay. So you could literally have taken a 6% gain here and a 5% gain there by just making sure that you get in when you have solid confirmation and getting out when the RSI comes up over 70. Okay. Now, making this sound easy, trust me, it's not always this easy. You're going to get stopped out a lot. But the key takeaway here is to have a good risk tolerance. And what I mean by that is that you want to have, when you get into a trade like this, you want to ensure that you're okay with losing, just say 1 or 2%. Oftentimes, comfortable traders that, the ones that aren't uptight like me, and I hate losing money. I'm more of a 3-to-1 ratio. I like to, potentially have a stop loss at 1%, and I shoot for a 3% gain. Others will shoot for, a 5% gain and a 2% loss, or a 10% gain and a 4% loss. There's different ratios you can do. So I recommend using paper trading to effectively be able to find out what works best for you. And if you want to do that, you just click on trading panel down below here, click on paper trading, and go ahead and connect. Okay. As soon as you do that, you have the option to be able to kind of jump in and have some fun and see if something like this actually works for you. I recommend you do it. Again, you'll get situations that are not this perfect. It's easy to look back and see the opportunities, right? But the true takeaway here is that you want to be patient and you want to understand that you have to have a system in place. You just jump in because you have a good feeling about it, you're going to lose. You might get lucky a few times, but you're going to lose. And I know because I used to think I was a lucky trader. It's not the case. There's no luck in this. This is not gambling. This is a business. Treat it like one. Again, everyone has their own theories, their own thought process, but that's just kind of how it works. We could look at the 1 minute chart, but I'm speculating it's not going to be, fantastic. In other words, when you see the price action the way this is here, we see a few gaps, and with the kind of volume that we see in this, yes, it's picked up a little bit here, but there's not a ton of volume in this currency at all. So with low volume, you get the EMA line isn't as effective, so that's why the 15 is a much better chart. Again, it takes a little bit longer to see these types of opportunities, right? Because we're talking like this little bit here is an hour time frame. It can be tough to be that patient. You may not have the time to do that. Okay. Now I'm working with one of my subscribers on actually creating a notification system that notifies you as soon as the price is over EMA and VWAP. Right? So I'm kind of probably include that in my premium Patreon account for my my signal group that I'm creating. So I'll have that out here very soon. I'm just working out the kinks, making sure that's going to be a good product for you, because I have a lot of requests from my community to do that, and it will help you with good sell signals, good buy signals, good opportunities, things that I'm doing myself. But furthermore, I should be able to share that with you in that setting. So that's the goal, is to kind of have that. I'm working with some programmers to essentially do that. Okay. So that being said, that's kind of what I wanted to offer here, to you, kind of show you. This is essentially my sentiment on waves. So I feel big picture, it is something that is it's not the ideal scenario to enter in right now, right? We want to wait for it to calm down. There's no buy signals that I've seen so far. And as far as a prediction is concerned, because I know I like to include that, waves does have good potential to get back up where it was before. But honestly, it's hard to say. Now, here's what I mean by that. Let's take a quick look here. So let's see how it responds to the price movement, right? So April 17th was the first major sell-off from Bitcoin. And that's this right here. In fact, let's go to the 1-day chart, and it might be easier to identify. So April 17th, let's go ahead and find that. All right, so this is April 17th right here. Okay, and then the 18th it sold off. Okay, so pretty much went sideways here for a little while. So while Bitcoin was kind of terribly, moving down, this was doing pretty well. So it ramped up here, of course, on the 26th. That's when most other coins did. Did good up here, of course, as well. And then May 12th, this is the Elon candle. And then May 18th is the China candle, right? So it's not impervious to these things. So as long as we continue to have China candles or, news that's, not just a tweet, then waves will effectively do a lot better. So do I think that waves will come back up into the 20 to 30 range? Yes, I do. I think that's very possible. But we need to see more sideways action from Bitcoin, and we need to know what happens this weekend too with some of the news. There's some really big stuff going on this weekend here, as far as I think the summit, hearings for Bitcoin. But we need more wins in order for these things to happen, right? So I think right now we have the calm before the storm, and it's hard to say specifically what's going to happen, but that's essentially where we're at there. So my prediction, pending Bitcoin not going south, we will see waves come back and creep back up to the $25 to $30 range, but it won't happen overnight. It'll take some time to get there. All right, so if you found benefit, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to join the community, and in the descriptions below I have Telegram. I have a Discord channel as well as my Patreon account. I'll have that up to date soon enough with the Signal groups. But for now, thank you so much for joining me here. Love you all very much. You're great, fantastic, awesome people. Hope you have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Take care.